Let's take a look at this debate last night. You know, in the past, and I would characterize this debate as nothing but a televised push poll. You know what a push poll is? That's the sort of dirty trick where they call people the day of the election and they put out some nasty, untrue rumor about somebody. You know, like calling people up in South Carolina and saying, would it change your vote if you learned that John McCain had an illegitimate black child in South Carolina? And of course, they did something like that, right? They did that. That's what they do with a push poll. They put out some negative, false information at the very last minute, doing it under the guise of an opinion poll. That's what that debate last night was. It was a giant push poll. Understand how they rigged the audience. And of course, we could see this coming. Matt Drudge had some articles up about how the tickets are being distributed. The night before, there was a rock star rally at my former alma mater, USF, in Tampa. And the basketball stadium, they had 17,000 people. It only seats 11,000 people. They put another 6,000 people on the floor, standing room only. It was a rock star appearance for Donald Trump. An audience 8 times bigger than this handpicked audience in South Carolina. And of course, what did you see last night? You saw this audience booing virtually every time Donald Trump talked. Now, a lot of people will say, well, look, they handed out the tickets to the GOP establishment, people who were part of the RNC, people who were part of the South Carolina GOP establishment, people who worked hard for this, they get the tickets. People who are donors, they get tickets. Okay, fine. You want to do that? Then tell the audience to shut up. Shut up. We don't need to know what your opinion is. When you stack the audience with your supporters and then you let them run wild, as CBS did, to me, that is a dirty trick. That is a dirty trick. And let's talk about what they actually did in terms of the audience there. As they pointed out, for the people who wanted tickets, they said thousands of people were lining up to try to get tickets to the GOP debate. And they said, well, if we were to do that, we would need a venue that was 11 times the size of that Peace Center to let everybody who wanted to get a ticket through the lottery session. There were less than 2,000 seats at that center where they had it. And, of course, the South Carolina chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party, Chad Groover, who was in charge of this, said the Republican National Committee gave a lot of tickets to supporters. He said more are then allocated by the state party to distribute along with the county chairs. He says, I didn't have hundreds of tickets. I had maybe a dozen tickets, he said. He said he gave tickets to supporters, including elected officials who work hard for the party. And then we see this article from Breitbart, and they point out a little bit more detail. They say Senator Lindsey Graham and South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley were personally given scores of tickets to distribute. Both of them have publicly pointed out how much they despise Donald Trump. And I guess Lindsey Graham was, as Ann Coulter would say, as excited as if he was in a fabric store. That's a great put down of Lindsey Graham. But they point out only 600 tickets were distributed to the GOP campaign. So in other words, Trump had 100 tickets, and the rest of the 2,000 tickets went to other candidates and mainly to the RNC, to the establishment. But look at this article here. On the Drudge Report, you see Trump and Drudge for the win. This is a Salon article. They say Trump and Drudge for the win again. Matt Drudge's army is bigger than the RNC. See, they didn't really fool anybody, did they? We could all see through it. And Donald Trump pointed it out very vociferously here, what was happening. But you can understand what was going on. You could understand that it was a hostile audience, a small, hand-picked hostile audience. I don't like to see that sort of thing. I don't like to see the established parties coming in with their super delegates to wipe out everybody else's votes. We talked about this in the Democrat race. Bernie Sanders, 150,000 votes. He gets 15 delegates. That means he got a delegate for every 10,000. But Hillary got the same number of delegates. Why? Because she's got connections with the super delegates, the people who are above the ordinary rank-and-file voters in the Democrat Party. And, of course, the GOP does the same thing. They rig it with things like this push-pull debate that they had last night. And they go in, this is what Salon says, if you were gauging by the audience reactions or what the pundits said afterwards on cable news, you would think that the front runner of the Republican nomination, Donald Trump, had a really rough night. Every time he opened his mouth, he was met with loud boos. Trump, meanwhile, in his spin room interviews after the debate, touted the early numbers on Drudge, calling him the winner. Do we really still need to debate which analysis matters more? It's not because most GOP voters hated what Trump had to say. It's because they weren't in the audience, okay? The chair of the RNC scraped up a bunch of GOP loyalists to build a made-for-TV, pro-establishment, anti-Trump audience to cheer on their establishment, more establishment candidates against the unconventional anti-establishment Trump. That's exactly what happened. And, of course, when you look at the results of the poll, I saw some an early meme showing all of these different poll results. Typically, across the board, it was 70 to 80% in favor of Trump. Now, Drudge has probably got about 500,000 votes now. At about 400,000 votes, Trump had 55%. Cruz in second place was at 21%. Nobody is buying it.